These wealthy black men need to learn. You cannot deal with non-African women the way you deal with African women. Our sisters are burdened by racism. They are burdened by negative stereotypes from slavery that have never been true of them. Our sisters have never been Jezebels. It was the slave master who sought after our women and raped our women. They didn't pursue them. But that's the stereotype that America has carried for 400 years. And every black woman who goes into court seeking justice against a perpetrator has to deal with the fact that people see her as sexually promiscuous. Mexican women ain't got to worry about that. Caucasian women ain't got to worry about that. Chinese women ain't got to worry about that. Arabs ain't got to worry about that. East Indians ain't got to worry about that. So these wealthy black men need to understand you can't deal with non-African lovers the way you deal with queens.
You know what I really dislike about this? The fact that black women ain't got, no woman have anything to do with this. Why is Dr. Umar telling Tyler Perry to date a black woman? He don't even want women, allegedly. But let's start this video. All right. Hey everyone, welcome back to Thema Cinto. Grab your coffee, water, tea, whatever you're drinking, go and get that. And let's talk about Dr. Umar's discussion on Tyler Perry's lawsuit. Because apparently Dr. Umar Ifatunde Johnson is an attorney. So let's get into it. I was made aware that Dr. Umar was on this podcast interview show Thingamabob, and he was talking about Tyler Perry and Derek Dixon's lawsuit against Tyler Perry. And obviously I ran to that video like I was Usain Bolt in the Olympics. Girl, I ran. So here I am to show it with you. And remember that bell hooks should be floating in the back of your mind. The will to change is supposed to be in your mind. And think about the assignment here and write it down in the comments. If you believe these men are attempting to change, be better, or if they're leaning very heavily into patriarchy and defending dusty, disgusting, degenerate behavior, that is your assignment. And without further ado, let's get into this. Let's get into this interview.
Perry, how you feel about the allegations he being accused of?
We got to deal with Tyler. We got to deal with Tyler. When you talk about the jealousy that the music industry has for black men, it's insane, bro. It's insane. Tyler Perry goes to the BET Awards. He gives a speech, and he's an excellent orator, by the way. I'm an orator. I study oratory. Tyler Perry could have been a pastor or a community activist. He's a very good speaker, very good public speaker. He says that I've made more millionaires than every other studio in this city combined. That's what he said. And don't you know, I don't know if it was the next day, but it was definitely the same week. All of a sudden, he gets hit with a $260 million lawsuit from Derek Dixon, who met Tyler Perry in 2019 as an employee of an event company. So he was working at one of the events that Tyler Perry contracted this event company to come to and host. He met Tyler Perry there. Tyler Perry invited him to audition for an upcoming show called Ruthless. Later on, Tyler Perry tells him, allegedly, according to Derek Dixon's attorney, Tyler Perry told him, I can change your life. Stick with me, I could change your whole life. He then invites him to audition for a role on The Oval, Tyler Perry series The Oval. Derek Dixon stars in 85 episodes of The Oval between 2020 or 2021 until 2024, 2025. In January of 2020,
I can change your life. So the reason they're coming for Tyler Perry isn't because he's buying CNN, CNBC, CBS, or even Fox News. They're coming for Tyler Perry because he's making millionaires. He's making a lot of black millionaires, and he went on stage and talked about how he's making millionaires, and that's why they're coming. Not because he allegedly has a casting couch, not because he's allegedly sexually harassing people, in Umar, in Ifatunde's mind, it is because he is out here making millionaires out of people and not because he's sexually assaulting or abusing people. Mind you, Ifatunde Umar Johnson did not say that he was only creating black millionaires, because apparently he making white people rich also. So just because of the fact of creating millionaire, not black millionaires, but millionaires, because apparently he was just giving this man all kinds of role and money for absolutely no reason, because Derek Dixon cannot act. That is my opinion, and I'm gonna stick by it. I watched episodes of The Oval, I think, and girl, absolutely not. That man can't act, so I don't know why he's even there. Umar also said that Tyler Perry was a great orator, so he could have been a pastor or an activist. Not that he needed to be called to be a pastor, but because he can speak well means that he could be a pastor. We are, as a community, I believe he is right, that we are suckers for a good speaker, a good speech. And that's why Dr. Umar have been scamming the black community, trying to get us to give him money for building a school that has not come into fruition for like 10 years now? And I will retract the scamming if that school ever becomes operational. Every year, it's a whole new reason why Dr. Umar can't open his school. Because he's a great, quote-unquote, orator, which it feels like Dr. Umar does know where his strengths lie, and he is correct. He is a good speaker, and he has been able to speak and influence black people into donating to him and not expecting anything in return. Because where's the school? Where is this Wakanda? To be fair, I would not live in a world where Dr. Umar, rather, I would not like to live in a world or community where Dr. Umar gets to set the rules, and you will know why in this very video. It sounds like Tyler Perry saw what he liked and was trying to dangle something over his head. That is what Dixon is alleging. Now, her duty is to push back against what Dixon is alleging if you are the defense attorney. Now, is Dixon a CIA agent, an FBI agent? Is this COINTELPRO? I don't know, but Dr. Umar sure thinks it is a setup. My issue fundamentally is, why is it so easy for white people, quote unquote, to be setting all these rich, powerful men up? Is it because they are trash people who engage in trash behaviors and therefore can be dragged into court for these degenerate actions? Are we going to ever focus on the actual degenerate actions, or are we going to talk about how they are rich and they're just trying to take a black man down? We're not going to talk about the degenerate actions. All right, Dr. Umar. I'm trying to figure out why a waiter turned actor who cannot actually act was on 85 episode of a TV show by Tyler Perry. While Umar is out here defending Tyler Perry, he should try to figure out why a non-acting white man was placed on 85 episodes getting paid more than other people on the cast. That's what, go find that out. Umar Ifatunde, go find that out for me, please. Thank you very much.
In January of 2020, Art, right before COVID, Tyler Perry allegedly texts Derek Dixon and says, among other things, I can't remember the last time I had really good sex. Now,
all right, Tyler Perry, in Umar's recollection of the facts, you were saying he hired someone and then he texted them that he cannot remember the last time he had good sex. This is his employee now. Why on God's green earth would an employer be texting an employee about when he had or did not have good sex? You hired a waiter to change his life to be an actor in your movie, and you're texting him about, allegedly, about whether or not you've had good sex in a long time. And Umar doesn't already see a problem Umar doesn't actually already see a problem here. I'm trying to figure out how do you not? How do you not see a problem here? Already, under the California penal system, this is already harassing communication. Point blank period. Like, it already is that. And not only is this singular text an issue, this is a part of a pattern of communication, again, which falls squarely under the penal code in California as just a matter of legal issues. And also, under the California Fair Employment and Housing Act, we already have right now sexual harassment, sexual assault was also alleged, and a hostile work environment when Tyler Perry is saying that he is going to get people shot during his movie or TV show rather, and depending on whether or not they acquiesce to what he wants them to do, they will either be in the next season or not be in the next season. Mind you, this also highlights the problem with Tyler Perry movie. He don't care nothing about the plot, it seems. If these allegations are correct, it sounds like Tyler Perry don't care nothing about the plot of his movie. He will push the plot forward and the storyline forward based on what the actors do for him in real life. That is essentially the allegation. So when people are saying Tyler Perry shows and movies suck, this could be why, though I'm not sure. The actions being alleged here aren't just morally wrong, which they are. If true, they make Tyler Perry legally culpable. So the way that Ifatunde Umar Johnson is dismissing the facts he is alleging is very strange, because based on the facts that Umar is pointing out, this would make Perry culpable under California and also federal law. We'll get to the equal protection law federally in a moment. What am I expecting? Based on where we just paused, I'm expecting Dr. Umar Ifatunde Johnson to put liability on the boss, the person with power and influence, the man, Perry in the situation, if the allegations are true. I'm expecting Umar to put responsibility on the man who did the bad action based on the facts presented, right? I'm kidding, I don't know. I don't know why I even said that, because Umar not about to do that. That is a black rich man. Whose side do you think Umar gonna be on? I don't even know why I said I expect Dr. Umar to put liability or responsibility, give accountability to a rich black man. That ain't never gonna happen. That ain't never gonna happen. So let's hear what Dr. Umar is like. Let's hear who should have done what in Dr. Umar's mind.
As a heterosexual male, if another man sends me a text telling me he can't remember the last time he had good sex, I already know that ain't somebody I need to be around alone, because he clearly got the wrong idea about me. In fact, I'm gonna have to let him know. In the future, fam, I don't need to know about your sex life. So Tyler Perry texts him this. He can't remember the last time he had great sex. And then he invites Derek Dixon to his house. Derek Dixon goes to Tyler Perry's house in Georgia. He says, allegedly, according to the criminal complaint or the civil suit, he says Tyler Perry gave him some drinks. They were talking. He started to feel a little tipsy. It got late. Tyler Perry tells Derek, "It's a little too late for you to drive home tonight. You've been drinking. I have a guest bedroom. Come and stay in my guest bedroom." Derek Dixon goes to the guest bedroom. He's tired. He's been drinking. He's ready to get some sleep. He says he lays down. And at some point, Tyler Perry comes into his room, slips into the bed behind him, and start rubbing the inside of his thigh. Now, Art, he don't leave. He don't punch him. He don't get dressed and call an Uber or get in his car and get up out of there. In fact, he goes back to work like nothing happened. You could have sued him right there. But he says, and this is where I think Tyler Perry has some room to stand and defend himself. Derek
I want to know, I seriously, we're going to get there. I want to know where Umar Ifetunde Johnson believes that Tyler Perry has a defense based on the facts he just put forward. Because it seems Tyler Perry is suggesting because Derek went back to work, there is some kind of implied consent on Dixon's part, which is one of the most degenerate takes I've heard in this entire case. Like this has to be one of the most degenerate takes I've heard. So Umar opens with, for this section, Umar said, as a heterosexual man, who said that? Who said Derek was heterosexual? I remember no one saying that. I don't remember that being claimed in the lawsuit. I don't remember that as a matter of fact. Even if it is true that Dixon is heterosexual, that was not a claim, and it doesn't actually matter. It does not matter if he's straight or not. After the text, Umar is saying that he would not want to be alone with Tyler Perry. This is a concession about what Umar believes Tyler Perry's nature is. By saying this, that you would not want to be alone with Perry, Umar, what you're saying is that you believe that Tyler Perry is degenerate and can control himself, which also means you believe something else. Could you take that to the logical next step? That he would engage in degenerate behavior. If you don't want to be around him by yourself, that does actually mean something about him and why you wouldn't want to be around him, which is you justifying the lawsuit that now exists. I don't know if Umar understands that's what he's doing, but that's exactly what he's doing. And what Umar also pushes forward, right, is this idea that the victim is supposed to, or the alleged victim, is supposed to set the boundaries for the boss to not overstep and break the law. So the person experiencing victimization is the one you put the responsibility on to enforce boundaries for the boss, his boss, allegedly, to not break California and federal law. I don't think that's a workable system, and I hope to God no one is listening to Umar and thinking, yeah, you should have been the one to leave. No, you should have been the one to not engage in the degenerate behavior as the boss. You do not sexually harass your employees. I don't care what Dr. Umar is telling you. You are the one wrong if you are the one with power exploiting people who have less power. Point blank, period. The question I also have for Dr. Umar here is, what should happen to the boss in the case where the employee fails to enforce boundaries for the boss to not break the law? Is the boss now able to be free and completely removed from any responsibility, liability, or culpability in terms of their action because the employee was unable to either step away, or not even unable, unwilling to just not quit and leave and not report right when it happened? Is there no culpability for the employer in that case? If so, your argument falls completely apart, Dr. Umar. This is where I point out again that men like Dr. Umar not having power is not a bad thing. This is a good thing. Regardless if Derek Dixon is a victim in this case or not, the general setup by Dr. Umar is that victims would not get justice because the bar for justice would be too high. You have to quit your job, you have to leave, you have to report it right away, but there are a myriad of reasons why people don't report things immediately. Thus, Dr. Umar's lack of institutional power in our system is protection for would-be victims. Even if we assume all of this is true, that Tyler Perry did give him a drink, Tyler Perry gave him a room, Tyler Perry said don't leave, Tyler Perry sent him to the room, then Tyler Perry went into the room, went on the bed without consent, touched this man inappropriately without consent. This is the facts as Umar see it. Are you saying you see no problem, Umar? Are you saying you see no problem with Perry's actions here? Are you saying Tyler Perry did nothing wrong in this scenario? Or are you saying because this man was in the bed, in the guest room of another man, when Tyler Perry, the owner of the home, goes into the bed and touches someone inappropriately, there's some kind of consent? Or are you saying because he went to work the next day that he somehow retroactively consented to the inappropriate touching the night before? Like, can you clarify that part for us, please? Separately, saying that Derek should have hit Tyler Perry. Have you seen Tyler Perry? Tyler Perry is like 10 feet tall. Ain't nobody trying to fight that. Ain't nobody about to fight Tyler. Without the wig, ain't nobody about to fight Tyler Perry. Now, Umar Tunde Johnson is apparently an attorney, and he's putting forth a defense. He said this is where we could find a defense for Tyler Perry. Now, I ain't seen this defense. All I've seen is Umar just restating facts and then jumping to a conclusion completely outside of whatever law he's appealing to, because he doesn't cite the legal framework under which he's operating. It's all off the dome for him. He's just talking, not realizing he's just not really in alignment with any of the legal code that would be in effect at this point. But let's continue.
Has some room to stand and defend himself. Derek repeatedly alleges that he was concerned about his job and his career. Well, if you're concerned about your job and your career, and this black man is sexually harassing you, why not turn him in? Why isn't your manhood or your self-respect, even if you're homosexual, if this man is sexually assaulting you, because you can be sexually assaulted as a homosexual as well, why not turn him in? Why are you saying I put up with it for the sake of the job? To me, you are collaborating and voluntarily participating in this, because you could have ended this a long time ago. So anyway, Art, he says that
collaborating is a wild, the word using collaborating is a wild thing to do, but Umar's defense, if I remember correctly based on this video, Umar's defense is, if you are concerned, why did you not turn him in? I'm trying to figure out where the defense is. Like, if you were concerned, why not turn him in? Where's the defense he said he had for Tyler Perry? That can't be the defense, girl. Because you did not turn someone in, you automatically become a collaborator in your own abuse. That's the argument essentially that Tyler Perry, like WTF, actually WTF. This, by the way, is equivalent to saying, judge, trigger warning, judge, my wife came home after I beat her, therefore she's a collaborator, she didn't leave. She actually didn't turn me into the police when I abused her the first time. Therefore, all abuse after that is consensual, and she collaborated, in fact, with my abuse of her, because she didn't turn me in. If she was so concerned about being abused, she would have turned me in, and because she didn't turn me in, she is a collaborator. That's essentially the argument that Dusty Ifatunde is making. Dusty Ifatunde is making the argument that if you don't turn people in right away, then you have not been abused because you are now a collaborator, but specifically if you stuck around after the abuse or the harassment in this case. I'm trying to figure out the legal theory that Dr. Umar, presumably, is working under here. Like, I'm trying to figure, and I think it has something to do with a sort of implied consent, right? And I don't know if I can flesh out this theory. Let me note something. It has to go something like, if your boss sexually harasses you and you continue to show up to work or work events, you have consented to being harassed. And you don't have a cause of action because you continue to show up to work and work events and see your boss this action on the victim's part make them no longer a victim because there is some kind of implied consent. That's the best argument I have. I am attempting to Iron Man a Dusty Degenerate talking point, but even in the Iron Manning of it, it does not work. Not legally. There is no, morally it doesn't work for me. But it seems morally it works for Umar. Thankfully, Umar's morality isn't what the justice system is predicated on, because a lot of people who've been abused would never get their day in court or any kind of justice if Umar's idea of what consent is to be accepted. We have to full-throatedly, I hate saying that, we have to adamantly reject this idea of implied consent in the context of harassment and abuse. I don't think Umar is hearing himself. I don't think he's listening to himself or the substance of what he says. I do think he likes to hear himself talk. He calls himself a great orator. So I think he likes hearing himself talk, but I don't think substantively he is analyzing that which he's saying. He's just saying it because this is not workable. We have to be grateful, like, for real, that men like Umar and people who have Umar's ideas aren't the ones making the rules under which we live. We have to be grateful for that because this is really degenerate.
Involuntarily participating in this, because you could have ended this a long time ago. So anyway, Art, he says that Tyler Perry, throughout this whole relationship of 2020 to 2024, is grabbing his butt cheeks. He says one day Tyler Perry comes into his trailer, grabs him violently by the neck, grabs his butt. Then he says a couple months later, there was another incident. Then the following year, in June of 2021, he says Tyler Perry pulled his underwear down, Art. Help me out. Help me out. If this man allegedly pulled your underwear down and grabbed your ass cheeks, why are you not going to a lawyer or going to the police? This man is a billionaire. He's a billionaire. Why are you hanging around? He says Tyler Perry coerced him, Art. Coerced him into accepting the sexual exploitation because Tyler Perry promised him his own show. Tyler Perry promised him career advancement. He allegedly, Tyler Perry was going to provide him with career advancement opportunities. So he says he felt like he had to endure this sexual harassment so it wouldn't mess up his options. As far as I'm concerned, that means you volunteered for it. You volunteered for it. You were willing to accept it because you thought you would get something out of it. Then he says, Art, around June.
He does not believe their victimization. If they wanted something, that means they exchanged their bodies for that thing, even though that thing, i.e. a job, employment, whatever your contract says, does not include you sleeping with your boss. But I'm going to move on from that. The word relationship is being used very specifically here by Umar. I think Umar is, in fact, attempting to make this into a kind of relationship. But let me help you out, Umar. You don't have to try. There was a relationship that existed between Tyler Perry and Dixon. That relationship was an employer-employee relationship. That's what it was. Anything beyond that is on Tyler Perry's head. It falls squarely in Tyler Perry's lap. Unless Tyler Perry is about to come out here and say, oh, I had a relationship with my employee that was consensual that I did not disclose to the rest of my employees, and he was getting favoritism in the place of employment, which also opened door for the other employees to come and attack Tyler Perry. I don't want to hear it. The question of why didn't you go to the police and why didn't you get a lawyer from Umar to Derek in this segment is kind of weird because he then follows up by saying Tyler Perry is a billionaire, which he's suggesting because Tyler Perry is a billionaire, you shouldn't be afraid and you should want money from him. But one could make the reverse argument that because Tyler Perry is a billionaire, that explains why anyone would be afraid of him and his team and his power in a field that Dixon now wants to operate in as an actor. I don't know why, because Derek Dixon can't act. That's my opinion. I'm gonna stick by it. Because people think they can bear abuse, they can grit their teeth and go through it and not complain, does not mean they have not been abused. You cannot take someone staying around an environment where they are being abused as consent to the abuse and thus no abuse occurred. That is a dumb, dusty argument. It does not work. It's weird to think someone volunteer for sexual harassment at the workplace after they've said no to the employer but continue to work. I do find that fascinating, and I wish the interviewer would have asked about that. Do you think it is consent implied because someone wanted to continue to work where their boss had sexually harassed them? Like, I would want his answer to that. His answer has to be yes if he's still defending, but I would like him to explain in detail why there is consent there. And the way he then goes on to explain quid pro quo, I don't think he understands what it is. Like, hanging someone's career advancement over their head in an effort to get sexual favors from them, shooting them at the end of a season, and telling them if they don't do what you want, implying to them that if they don't do what you want, they will not be in the next season, is very much quid pro quo. So Tyler Perry doing that and Umar thinking, oh, if Dixon acquiesced, that means he wants it because he wants to be in the next season. If he did anything with Tyler Perry, that is consent, and that remove any idea of quid pro quo and sexual harassment at the workplace and hostile work environment is wild to me. That is an insane thing to say. So not only would the quid pro quo, as I've explained just now and Umar have explained, a violation of California Fair Employment and Housing Act, it would also be, like I said, a violation of federal law, Title VII to be specific. Your job, if it was not clear from everything that I've said, is not to control your boss's sexual urges when the boss can't control them for you to work there or whatever there is. You don't have to quit your job because you're sexually harassed. You can actually go file suit. And because you don't file suit right away does not mean you are less of a victim. I don't know what Dr. Umar is talking about. The way that Umar lays it out, by the way, would mean that Tyler Perry, if what Umar said in the way Umar said it is true, which we don't know if it's true, but if it is true, yes, Tyler Perry would be in violation of California law and also federal law. So there is that. But all Umar is doing is talking. If the facts as Umar see them is in fact, those facts are true, Perry would be in violation of both state and federal law. Very simple. He better be denying them or proving consent. Because one thing for sure, two things for certain, Umar Ifatunde has not proven consent on Dixon's part at all.
Here we go again, Art. Smokey Robinson. If you want these women to be your girl toys, Tyler Perry, allegedly, if you want Derek Dixon to be your boy toy, $10,000 an episode for a billionaire is not going to cut it. I believe, Art, that Derek Dixon, who claims he never had intercourse with Tyler, that's going to be a big thing, Art, because when I was reading the civil complaint, it doesn't appear that Derek Dixon ever admitted to having any type of relation with Tyler Perry. 4.5 years, I wonder if that's true, because if Tyler Perry can prove, allegedly, that him and Derek Dixon engaged in any type of consensual sexual exchange, I think this case can be thrown out. I think the argument can be made that you was engaged in consensual relations with Mr. Perry, and because you didn't get what you wanted to out of this Gabrielle Zuniga and Jane Doe 1, Jane Doe 2, Jane Doe 3, and Jane Doe 4 for Smokey Robinson, you decided to try to exploit him in the courts for money because you know he's wealthy. So if Tyler can prove that any of this was consensual, I think this case can get thrown out. Why? Because you was around this man for 4.5 years, Art, almost 5 years, and you never did anything about his sexual advancements. Pulling your pants down, grabbing your booty, asking you if you like to be a top or a bottom, asking you about your relations with other men, saying he jealous seeing you around other men. There was too much harassment, allegedly, for you to have not done nothing in nearly 5 years. So if Tyler Perry can prove that they had relations, Art, I think this gets thrown out. Now.
Okay, so me too, girl. I wonder if they had intercourse, and if they did not have intercourse, then yes, Tyler Perry would be the worst Weinstein out there ever. But that wouldn't be a bad thing, because that would mean it would be less severe than what Harvey Weinstein did. But that's neither here nor there. I am so confused by Umar's now statement around consent, where he is moving the post, his argument from this implied consent by just showing up to work, to a very overt kind of consent where he's saying, Umar, that if Perry and Dixon had any kind of sexual relationship at any point that was consensual, that means the case gets thrown out, which seemed to suggest that Umar believes if you consent at any point, either before or after another action takes place, the consent for every action is going to be consented to by you. That because you consent for one thing one time or however many times, every other time the interaction occurred, that there is an implied or a direct consent because you've consented at some point. You do know that consent is required for every engagement sexually, right? Like, Umar knows that even if you sexually engage consensually with someone at one point, you can say, I don't want to do this at another point, and if they do advance whatever engagement they are doing sexually with you where you have not given consent, that means they sexually assaulted you. Like, Umar knows this, right? There is also the question about when consent isn't consent. And the idea that there is duress and the quid pro quo, the hanging the career over someone's head, there is a kind of confusion that exists there. And this is why laws for employers exist in their engagement with employees. The California Fair Employment and Housing Act is one such act. You don't get to engage in this dusty quid pro quo kind of bargaining where the person has to sleep with you for you to advance their career, or you reject them and remove them if they don't sexually please you or engage with you sexually. That is absolutely insane.
If Tyler Perry can't prove that, here's where I stand on this suit. First of all, $260 million is ridiculous. That's number one. But number two, Art, I believe that Derek Dixon would have become Tyler Perry's lover if Tyler Perry gave him what he wanted. If Tyler Perry would have gave him his own show, I think he becomes his lover. Because according to Derek Dixon, Tyler Perry allegedly told him that he wants a male lover who will keep quiet and not become emotionally attached. He claims Tyler Perry told him, I don't have enough time to get emotionally involved in a relationship. So I'm looking for somebody I can smash and dash, who keep their mouth shut and don't get all emotional with me because I ain't got time for that. So basically, he kind of wanted a boy toy. Derek Dixon doesn't seem like he really made it clear to him that he was not going to be that. Here's where I think Tyler Perry messed up. Like I said, he didn't take care of him, Art, but in addition to that, Derek Dixon was not going to be no cheap hoe. He was not going to be no cheap hoe. That's like, Art, you dating a woman and a woman says, you ain't getting these panties until you buy me a car. And you keep trying to get the panties, She said, I'm not giving you no panties until you buy me a car. You buy her the car, you get the panties. If you don't buy the car, you don't get the panties. I simply think Derek Dixon was not a cheap hoe, Art. Tyler Perry didn't keep his end of the bargain, so he never let him smash. He never let him smash, period. Tyler Perry thought he was going to get him before he fulfilled his part of the bargain. Derek Dixon wasn't a cheap hoe. He said, you ain't gonna play me cheap. You're gonna give me my own show, and if you don't, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna keep all the text messages. I'm gonna keep all the exchange, just like the Mexicans with Smokey, just like Gabrielle with Shannon. I'm gonna keep all the information, Art, and if I don't get my own show, guess what I'm gonna do? Run to the lawyers and sue you for $260 million. These wealthy black men are...
The amount is ridiculous, and I'm not going to engage with Tyler Perry and his speculation about what actually happened. Like, I'm not engaging with that dusty narrative. What I will engage with is, Again, if you hang career advancement over someone's head for sexual favors when they are your employee and reliant on their job, and so they are forced into acquiescing to your whim, i.e., quid pro quo, I'm sorry, you don't get to just say, oh, he consented and he allowed me to do it, or he did not walk away when I sexually harassed him multiple times, and then later he consented, and because he consented later, it means every other time that I sexually harassed him was not gonna count. Absolutely not. This is actually degenerate.
And if I don't get my own show, guess what I'm gonna do? Run to the lawyers and sue you for $260 million. These wealthy black men need to learn. You cannot deal with non-African women the way you deal with African women. Our sisters are burdened by racism. They are burdened by negative stereotypes from slavery that have never been true of them. Our sisters have never been Jezebels. It was the slave master who sought after our women and raped our women. They didn't pursue them. But that's the stereotype that America has carried for 400 years. And every black woman who goes into court seeking justice against a perpetrator has to deal with the fact that people see her as sexually promiscuous. Mexican women ain't got to worry about that. Caucasian women ain't got to worry about that. Chinese women ain't got to worry about that. Arabs ain't got to worry about that. East Indians ain't got to worry about that. So these wealthy black men need to understand you can't deal with non-African lovers the way you deal with queens. And our queen shouldn't be mistreated at all. I'm just drawing a comparison here.
The comparison being made is that the queens, black women, should be mistreated. Dr. Umar is saying you should deal with African American women, the queens, because they're not protected. That is the only reason he brought it up in this context. So at the end, when he says, I am not saying the queen should be mistreated, what he means to say is, but if they are mistreated, you are more likely to get away with it because they're not protected systemically. That is in fact what he's saying. Woe to the black woman who still follow Dr. Umar. Woe to the black woman who continue to follow Dr. Umar. This is why he's saying choose black women. Dr. Umar not only thinks what Tyler Perry did was not wrong, he took it a bit further to saying what you did, while I think it's not wrong, you shouldn't be doing it to those other groups of people. You should do it to black women because black women under the system aren't protected. And when he says, I don't think black women should be mistreated at the end of that justice statement, Umar does not see what Tyler Perry did as mistreatment. Therefore, there is nothing in Dr. Umar's mind that black women would need to be protected from if they were in the place of Dixon in relation to Tyler Perry. That is insane. Umar essentially wants a world in which powerful black men are able to abuse and misuse their power against other people without any recourse for the victims of such abuse. That's essentially what he's arguing for here. And the people he believes he can get away with abusing are black women because there's no systemic protection for black women. He does not believe the white system has in place protections for black women, and he, a black man, would not create a system where black women would be protected. First and foremost, again, he does not see what Perry does as bad. Dr. Umar does not see what Tyler Perry did as bad. Therefore, the white system that does not protect black women would let black women be harmed in his mind, and he would not protect black women from said action because he does not see said action by Perry as bad. So if it was aimed at a black woman, a white man, a white woman, it does not matter. He does not see it as bad.
Smokey Robinson, Shannon Sharp, you messing up. Get your act together.
Yeah, from the text I've seen, the dude do seem a little high maintenance.
Yes. His whole thing is, I'll be your boy toy, but I'm going to get something out of this because you're a billionaire. You ain't going to play me cheap. And then Derek Dixon's, his attorney, claims that this is what Tyler Perry does to get his lovers. He claimed that there's other men who have worked for Tyler Perry Studios who have been fired because they did not consent fully to Tyler Perry's sexual requests and or constant overbearing harassment. So he says, Tyler Perry will put you in shows, write you in, lavish you with all kind of stuff, make you real comfortable with a very firm understanding that you can lose it all. if you don't do what I want you to do. So the lawyer claims there's other men who have a similar story to Derek Dixon. He even mentions Cosby, Carter, Combs, Weinstein, and Spacey in the lawsuit. So the lawyer is trying to draw a parallel from Tyler Perry to Bill Cosby, Sean Combs, R. Kelly, Weinstein, and Spacey. He mentions them in the lawsuit. And he says Tyler Perry is using his status and his power to force young, struggling actors into unwanted sexual relationships. I believe he led Tyler Perry on hoping he would get a show. I believe Tyler Perry was never interested in giving him a show. I think he found out Tyler Perry was playing games, and because he's white and still a racist, and Tyler Perry is still black, although a billionaire, and he decided to show Tyler Perry who's really in charge. And this is why I say, Art, it don't matter how much money you have. It don't matter how much power you have. Whenever you're dealing with a white woman or a white man, they still have more power than you. Tyler Perry's a billionaire. Derek Dixon might have been struggling, but guess what, Art? Derek Dixon has the full power of the American criminal justice system behind him. He got the full power of American civil court behind him. He got the full power of American media behind him. He got the full power of American society behind him. Tyler Perry's billions will be neutralized by Derek Dixon's white privilege. They were playing each other. They were playing each other. He was stringing Tyler Perry along long enough to get his show. Tyler Perry was stringing him along long enough to get some booty, allegedly. And it just so happens that Tyler Perry realized he ain't gonna get no booty, right? And then Derek Dixon realized, I'm not gonna get no show. So Tyler Perry expected him to walk away, Art. He thinking he just gonna walk away. Why would he just walk away when you a billionaire? He gonna embarrass you and he gonna exploit you, because at the end of the day, you ain't nothing but a nick to him, and you're supposed to know your place even as a billionaire. When a white person throws a temper tantrum at a black person, you better get ready. That's why it does not benefit us to date outside of our race, Art, because you take too many hits. Look at Smokey. Look at Smokey. Look at Shannon. And now Tyler Perry, a rainbow bunny coming for his bag, 260 mils. I don't think he gets it, because again, for me, if they're being honest, you volunteered for this, bro. 5 years, you didn't do nothing, no lawsuits, no complaints, no nothing. I'm sorry, he did finally file a complaint against Tyler Perry with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. He did, Art. But I don't think that was until 2024 when he decided to take leave. Tyler Perry said medical leave without pay. It was at the end of the journey, though. It was still too late. I mean, this man texted you and said he can't remember the last time he had good sex, and you want to go over his house alone and stay the night? He was teasing him on. Both of them were using each other. This was a co-exploitation. Tyler Perry allegedly wanted booty. Derek Dixon allegedly wanted his own show. The only problem, Art, is what? The only person who had something to lose was Tyler Perry. Smokey Robinson. The only person who had something to lose was Smokey Robinson. Shannon Sharp. The only person who had something to lose was Shannon Sharp. Gabrielle Zuniga was her OnlyFans model. Stop dating women outside your race. And if you're going to date women outside your race, make sure, Art, they have as much to lose as you do. Tyler Perry should have found him, if he's into that. I'm not going to say the man is homosexual. If he is bisexual, he should have found somebody who has as much to lose as he does in the entertainment world, and he would have avoided all this. They dating down, Art. They are dating down, thinking they're going to drop these people when they tired of messing with them. It ain't going to happen. You're worth too much. Because at the end of the day, every black person in this country, Art, is nothing more than an opportunity and a tool. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you are. I don't care how much money you have. Black people were brought here as objects to be exploited, and we are still objects to be exploited. And the minute you forget that you're nothing but an object or an opportunity to Gabrielle Zuniga, 4 Mexican immigrants, okay, or to Tyler Perry, in the case of Derek Dixon, they're going to remind you who you are, and they're going to remind you who they are.
Dr. Umar is essentially arguing that because he believes white men are getting away with some kind of abuse, black men should be able to get away with it. Mind you, there are white men who are in prison, so it's not the entire system against Tyler Perry. Absolutely not. He's too rich for you to be making this argument. It's not. He did something wrong, allegedly, and someone is trying to hold him accountable for the alleged wrong that he did. That's that on that. No one should be getting away with this kind of abuse, regardless of how rich Umar thinks they are. Oh, he's a billionaire and this little white boy is able to sue it. Yes, if you abuse this man, he should be able to sue you. The thing is, even pointing out that other men have been fired by Tyler Perry for not acquiescing to his whim, Tyler Perry's whim, no one neutralized Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry is neutralizing himself if these allegations are true. Dixon does have a system behind him, and the reason he has a system behind him is because of the laws in place that were broken by Tyler Perry. Not because he's white, not because of racism or white supremacy, but because Tyler Perry, if he in fact engaged in what is being alleged, he is wrong. and should be held accountable for it, regardless of the race, color, skin tone, sex, gender of the victim. Umar's justice setup only serves to help push forward the case against Tyler Perry. Umar has not given a defense of Tyler Perry at all, and I need to make that clear. Yeah, I'm saying Umar would be a bad attorney. Definitely saying that. He'll be a bad attorney because every time he opens his mouth to explain the facts as he sees them, the alleged facts as he sees them, this is Dr. Umar, he is outlining the harassment claim that the claimant is making, the petitioner is making. He's literally explaining what Dixon is saying, and I think because he's saying it with such disdain, and there is a hint of kind of sarcasm towards like consent from Dr. Umar. I think he believes his ability to hint at consent is enough to prove consent, but that's not how the court of law works. And to then top that off by saying, again, this is why you stay with black women is wild. Because again, he's not saying be better with black women, treat black women better. He's saying if you did that which you have done to this white man, to a black woman, the black woman would do nothing about it. And even if the black woman did something about it, the system wouldn't care. Or at least the system would care less. So you are likely to get away easier with whatever you did in terms of abuse to a black woman because the system don't care about a black woman. That is what he's saying.
Fat Joe is countersuing. Who else did we talk about a minute ago? Fat Joe is countersuing. Smokey Robinson is countersuing.
And Tyler Perry.
It does, no. It don't look like Tyler Perry is countersuing. He might be, but I didn't see anything.
And the reason why I asked you if the checks is real is because, I mean, if they real, then yeah, Tyler Perry is gay, man. I mean, he made it known in them checks that, he in them in.
They both consented. I don't agree with same-sex relationships. If Tyler Perry into that, that's him. We all know the childhood he's been through. It can breed that type of pathology. But to me, this was a consensual relationship that was mutually beneficial and mutually exploitative. That's how I see it. If I'm on the jury, Tyler Perry's relationship with Derek Dixon was mutually exploitative, mutually beneficial. Neither one of them are in the right. Neither one of them are in the wrong if everything stated is true. That's how I'm looking at that.
When you say it was mutually beneficial and consensual, where exactly did Dr. Umar get consent? And if you believe Dr. Umar and if you're sticking by Tyler Perry, if what is being alleged is true as Dixon put it in his complaint, where is the consent? Because Dr. Umar is pulling consent out of thin air. There is no consent that Dr. Umar can prove. So I'm not sure why he's making the argument that there is some kind of consent. Perry denies the action. Tyler Perry denies the action. Tyler Perry doesn't even claim that Dixon consented to anything. He just flat out denied that it happened. Dixon is alleging that he didn't consent. Where is Dr. Umar getting consent from? To believe that there was consensual engagement is to say Tyler Perry is lying. And to say Tyler Perry is lying is to not trust Tyler Perry. To not trust Tyler Perry is a character issue because he's not being honest about his engagement. And even if there were consensual engagement at some point, does that extend to every single point of harassment? Did he consent to being harassed? And if so, where? I also want to know how Dixon can consent to actions Perry alleges never occurred. That is insane. Theory of consent is that if you show up to work and you are sexually harassed and you continue to show up to work, that you have consented to your boss sexually harassing you because you can quit and report him. And if you don't quit and you don't report him and you show up to work to do your actual job and you're being sexually harassed by your boss, by not reporting him and by not leaving the job immediately, you have consented. And that is an insane bar. Pretty much no one would be convicted for crimes in this way, and there would be no civil responsibility for the abusers in this case.
Still got put on, you still got paid, you still got famous. You feel me? You were taken care of, not to the point you wanted to be, but you were still taken care of. I think it was mutually beneficial and mutually exploitative. You see, now, he never accused Tyler Perry of flat out sexually assaulting him with the R. You feel me? To me, it just looked like a lot of butt cheek grabbing is what I saw. A lot of thigh rubbing. You feel me? Like nowhere did I read he held me down and forcibly penetrated me. I don't see that nowhere. I'm seeing a bunch of butt smacking, butt grabbing. He pulled his underwear down. You still stayed on the job. Come on, Art. Come on, man. This is consensual. It's consensual. Same thing with Smokey Robinson.
He still stayed on the job is not a defense. Someone sexually harassing you and you staying at the job is not a defense to the perpetrator of that kind of harm. Because there's no penetration. Is this meaning from Umar's perspective that there isn't anything violent enough or meeting the threshold of harassment? So there has to be penetration in Umar's mind for this to rise to the level of harassment? That's an interesting way to think about sexual harassment and hostile work environment. That's a very high bar. I think ultimately what we can gather from what Umar is saying is that, one, he doesn't understand the law. Thankfully, he doesn't write or enforce these laws, but also that his moral compass is leaning towards degeneracy. If you believe this kind of action by your boss in the workplace is okay and should not be reprimanded and it's not a violation of any law, and there shouldn't be civil remedy for people who experience this kind of harassment at their workplace, if what is being alleged is true, then you're degenerate. You are degenerate. Yes, you are.
I don't think Smokey guilty. I don't think Shannon Sharp is guilty. I don't think Tyler Perry is guilty, but I would convict them on one count of being dumbass black men in racist white America. I would convict them of that. And I would sentence them to 500 lashes apiece, except Uncle Smokey. He's too old to be taking lashes. But I will convict them for being silly multi-millionaires, and in Tyler Perry's case, multi-billionaire. You a fool. You can't carry yourself like you working at McDonald's. They out here crashing out, Art, crashing out for non-black vagina and non-black rectum. This is insane. This is insane. Black men have to get our lower chakras. I see you laughing, Art. Black men got to get our lower chakras under control, Art. We got to get our chakras under control. This is madness. This is madness.
Yeah, you threw me off.
So they did nothing wrong. Nothing. I'm not even talking about there. I'm on Tyler Perry right now. Umar Tunde Johnson, who does not take care of his children, apparently. Scammer Johnson, no school building Johnson. Are you saying they did nothing wrong? Are you?
Chakras. I see you laughing, Art. Black men got to get our lower chakras under control, Art. We got to get our chakras under control. This is madness. This is madness.
Yeah, you threw me off when you said rectum. But yeah, that guy, he's a legend that, he was in bed and Tyler Perry, he crawled in bed with him and Tyler Perry started touching on him.
Yeah, he said Tyler Perry rubbed his thigh.
You know what I mean? Like, how does it get to that point? I don't know. I'm confused.
Remember, when I was saying he went over his house, they had some drinks. It got late. Tyler Perry felt he was a little too tipsy to drive home. Tyler Perry invited him to stay. He stayed. He slides into the bed with Derek Dixon, allegedly, starts rubbing his leg. Derek Dixon told him, I'm not sexual. That's what he kept saying throughout the lawsuit. I'm not sexual. So I don't know if he was trying to claim he was a virgin or if he was trying to claim that he just wasn't ready to have relations with Tyler Perry. He never said he wasn't homosexual, though, so I believe he's definitely that. But he just wasn't ready. Bottom line, he had too much art. He knew what he wanted, period. Derek Dixon said, you a billionaire, you the man, and you ain't clapping these cheeks until I get my own show, period. And Tyler Perry thought he was going to clap. Allegedly, if this is true, he thought he was going to clap, and Derek wouldn't give it up. He wanted his own show. Neither one of them, they used each other. They played each other. They played each other. It's sad, man, because
This is degenerate for a lot of reasons, but I think underpinning this is this idea that once you have money, you get to do what you want, and everyone wants your money and want to do things for you to get your money. Therefore, there is this implied consent. Because what Umar is saying is he saw nothing wrong with this engagement. He saw nothing wrong with Tyler Perry allegedly crawling into bed with a drunk man who did not know he was even in the room and touching this person on his thighs, under the sheets, under the covers, while this person was drunk. Umar is essentially saying there is consent there somehow, or that this is okay. Mind you, the allegation here is that Tyler Perry had to stop and leave because Dixon wasn't wanting to do it, and Dixon said, I'm not sexual, right? So rebuffing it. But let's back up from the rebuffing. You don't climb into bed with a drunk person who never consented at all and cannot consent because they're drunk and touch them in their private areas. You don't do that. That alone is already a problem. There is no further you need to go. If those set of facts are in fact real, that is sexual harassment. What do you mean? There is no further to go. That is insane. These are allegations against Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry denies it. I'm not in the realm of true or false right now. I am in the realm of assume arguendo from Dr. Umar's perspective that these set of facts are in fact true. They occurred in the way that Dixon and Umar has articulated them. If so, that is sexual harassment. What do you mean? That is an assault, right? That's sexual assault. Like, I am very confused why Dr. Umar is confused about any of that.
Sad, man, because I don't want to see Tyler Perry disgraced. Tyler Perry is one of the few black men in this century art who could go on my Mount Rushmore for black achievement if he starts producing some very serious, empowering, African-centered movies. Like he did the movie about the sisters in World War II. You know, that was an integrationist kind of thing. It was nice, it was cute, it was good. Shout out to Tyler Perry for that. Kerry Washington, great job, and the other sisters on it. I liked it. But we need a Black Wall Street movie. You know, we need a Marcus Garvey. We need Haitian Revolution. We need Ida B. Wells. Like, if Tyler Perry art can give me 12 strong black movies, not no integrationist flicks about how we desegregated the army. I'm tired of the integrationist flicks. Give me some strong black power. Give me 12 powerful black.
Okay, so essentially what he's saying here is because Dr. Umar would put Tyler Perry on his Mount Rushmore, and he believed Tyler Perry is a juggernaut in the black community and he is rich and powerful, that he should not be held accountable for bad behavior, and Umar does not want to see him go down or be held accountable for bad behavior. Yeah, no, we don't care. If you did this, Tyler Perry, you should be held accountable. Now, if you didn't do it, fight for your dear life. Period. But if you did this, yeah, you're a problem. You don't get to wield your power in that way. You don't get to hang someone's career over their head to sexually exploit them. You don't get to do that. Let's just move to the conclusion. In conclusion, Umar is a degenerate. That's essentially the conclusion, girl. Dr. Umar is a degenerate who supports degeneracy. That is a problem. Dr. Umar is not a leader. He's not a safe place. He does not have power, thankfully, to structure a system. And even if he did, hopefully no woman, no one vulnerable enough would want to live in that justice system. To tell black men to pick black women, not because they love black women or want to be with black women, but because the system will not punish black men harshly when they victimize black women, is a degenerate, disgusting, diabolical thing to advocate. Tyler Perry, mind you, doesn't even want to be with a black woman, but the fact that Dr. Umar is telling people that they should be with a black woman because they are unprotected is something that I hope black women are paying attention to, because that is actually kind of insane. I think ultimately, I've said this so many times in this video, but I will repeat it because it bears repeating. It is good that some of us do not have power. Most of us don't have power to set the system and the rules that we have to abide in the system, because if we did, it would be all degeneracy all the time. Victims should not have to control the actions of perpetrators of harm. It is not your responsibility. And you don't get to tell a victim when and how they need to show up when they are processing in real time, usually, what they're going through and how they're being abused and what to do about it and their own safety and even their careers. You don't get to tell them when it's legitimate to speak out about their harm when the harm did in fact happen, if the harm did in fact happen. Dr. Umar, in his discussion of all of these cases, but definitely Tyler Perry's, does not care about the law. He does not look up the law. He does not understand the law. He does not engage with the law. He makes up his own based on his moral compass and the level of degeneracy he's willing to let slide, and he prosecutes based on that. Nothing more, nothing less. Every time Dr. Umar speaks, he's digging Tyler Perry deeper and deeper in a degenerate hole, pretending like the facts would be in fact in favor of Tyler Perry if they were as they were. Absolutely not. I do hope no one ever really needs Dr. Umar's defense, and God help them if they ever do. God help them, so help them, God, if they ever do need Dr. Umar's help. I'm just going to end it there because trash, trash, and more trash. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you again later. Bye. Oh, remember, I go live on Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Over the summer, there are some Fridays I will be missing because I'm going to be out in the street zipping it and throwing it. In any case, love you all. Thank you for watching, and bye for real. If you want to watch more videos like this, I already have 2 prior to this on the channel, and there'll be more to come in my kitchen. Bye.